Wow, so that was pretty interesting. We've gone from sexual exploration to gender roles to then getting into the family dynamic. So what came next?
Well, what came next was episode 4. We delved into religion. I thought it would be best to think about the systems that shape who we are. And religion had a big part in my life in deciding different things, what I would do or where I would go. And so I feel like as a child, it shapes a lot of your perspective on what right and wrong is. So I thought, why not end it with religion? And it seemed to be pretty effective. All right, guys, episode 4. We're going to get into religion. How did religion have an effect on you as a child?
It had a pretty big role on me as a child. Because growing up, I was brought up as a Jehovah's Witness. And that's one of the more strict, I guess you could say, of the Christian denominations. And
what do they believe? Is it that Jesus is Lord, or?
It's honestly very similar to every other Christianity. It's just that like Jesus is the Son of God and not God himself. So like they completely reject like the idea of the Trinity, but it's still there. It's just not like one unit. You know, like Jesus was separate from God versus, you know, as traditionally the Christian faith is Jesus, God, and the Holy Ghost are all one.
Okay.
And then like there's other little things, but as far as like the doctrine goes, that's like the biggest. Everything else is, you know, like little things. Like every faith has their own little, like we do this on this day and that on that day, and that's how they do it. That's how they go about it. But it's strict in that, like, because also when I was really, really young, I went to a Baptist church when I was like 5 to 13 or however it worked out. And what I saw in the Baptist church is a lot of people got away with certain things. And as a Jehovah's Witness, you can't really. I mean, you could for a certain time, but as soon as they find out, then it's a whole big thing and you're out of it. And I kind of like that, like as a teen, because I hated the hypocrisy of the world.
So you like the structure?
It's not even the structure, more or less, but it's like I like the fact that it didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter. I'm going to use height to describe it, but it doesn't matter how prominent you were or what height that you reached in the congregation. If you did something wrong, like you're out. You know, whereas a lot of times in Catholic Church, you'll see priest so-and-so, they'll do some wild junk and they'll just be there still. And I always hated that, you know, I always hated that part of it. And like, especially, and it's not every church, every Baptist church, please, no one attack me on that one, but like the Baptist church that I did go to, I saw a lot of people doing super wild stuff and there were still brother so-and-so and sister so-and-so. And so like, when I found that with Jehovah's Witnesses, which was kind of what I was raised to be, but I drew to it with that. But then it got to a point where I was doing everything I was expected to do, you know, because like I'm well read and I talk nice, I read the Bible. When we go out preaching, that's when we wake you up on Saturday mornings.
You used to be bringing people doorbell.
Bringing people, I was all in, like legit up early, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, early, like super real. And I did everything I was supposed to do. And the way they tell you is if you do everything you're supposed to do for God, you're going to be blessed. You're going to be happy, right? And for a while I did. I felt blessed. I'm like, oh my God, I'm blessed, I'm happy. But life doesn't work out that way. Like stuff is going to hit you from all sides no matter how much you're doing for God, you know? And it got to a point where I was like legitimate, like I was on stage giving talks like Sundays. And I was unhappy. And everybody's like, oh, hey, good job, brother, good job. And I was just unhappy with myself on the inside. And nobody could see it because it's like, it doesn't matter how sad your song is as long as you're dancing the dance. Cool. And so that's how I felt. And so I started to break away. And so you asked, like, how big was religion? Religion was huge because for a while, it shaped everything that I did and everything that I didn't do, you know? And then after, when I kind of broke away from that, and I'm not saying like I went out and I wilded out completely, but everything that I would say that like I rebelled, it was just to show like I could do what I want. And so no matter what I did, I was still doing it like under the guidelines of religion. Because everything that I felt I was rebelling, I was only rebelling from that faith that I grew up at. And there's this one video that I saw, and I was looking for the link, but I just couldn't find it. my art teacher, my painting teacher, played it for us. It was just weird that she would play this, but it was this Indian guy, and he was explaining his like journey through religion, and he said that when he was younger, right, when you're young, you're born and you believe in God, because that's what you're thrown to. As you get older, you become an atheist. You stop believing in God, and I kind of related to that. But what hit me is he said,
but not when you're born. Like I mean, when
you're young.
When you're young.
Of course, when you're young. But he's saying like from birth till a certain age, you believe in God because you have to go to church. You have to go with your parents. You don't really have a choice at that age. Yeah. And he said, as you get older, as you start to learn more, you stop believing because it starts to not make sense. And then he said, the more science he learned, the more he started believing God. And that's just because you start to see the different possibilities. Anything could be possible. Right? Sure, like God could be like a little crack that people just cooked up just to feel good about themselves, or to control the masses. I've heard that before, but it could be real. It could all be real, and I've always related to that video more than anything else because that reflected more than most my journey. So it wasn't a fact that I don't want to be a spiritual person anymore. It's the fact that I'm okay with simply believing in the possibility of a God. So at the very least, I'd say I would be agnostic, but I'm still, I still attend the congregation. I'm not, fighting all of it because I realize that I'm okay with where I am. And even if I'm doing something that might not be according to, my faith strictly, I'm not saying I'm okay with it necessarily, but I have more peace with it because my biggest struggle would have been fighting whether or not I believe in God as a whole. And since I'm okay with that, then the rest will come as it comes. Mm-hmm. And so, like, that was my journey, and that's why like religion played that much of a role in like my life right
now. Okay. Well, to answer your question, how did the role of religion play in our life? To me, in one word, it was just confusing. But to piggyback off of something you said, where you said that if you do right by God, you'll be blessed. And I always grew up, my grandmother, she's from St. Kitts, she's very religious, she go to church like 3 times out of the week, even to do nothing, like she just go there, and she used to try to drag me, and I used to always feel like, I don't want to be here, I used to always feel unhappy, like I don't understand how if this almighty person who, he made everyone and he oversees everything, how could he allow something bad to happen? How is it innocent people dying? Why was I, sexually abused? Why did my mom physically abuse me? I always felt like if this almighty person that's going to bless the people that's doing well, how come a lot of people who are doing well are feeling like, they become the atheists? They feel like, okay, I'm doing this. How could this happen? If God made us all, then how come the same people who preach that will say, oh, you can't be gay, because if he made us all, he made the gay people too. He made the rapists too. He made the murderers too. So I always was confused, and that led me to think that, okay, it's just not real at all. So I became like maybe agnostic. I don't know who to put the title on because I also don't think it's fair to say, oh, Christians have God, the Muslims have Allah, and the Jewish people have this and that. Like, who is the God? And who am I to say, because I'm Christian, you as a Muslim, your God is not real because Allah is not Jesus, or, whatever. I'm just like, so for now, for me, I'm more of practicing the art of Buddhism, where you give out something and the universe will give it back to you. I wouldn't say, I'm a monk in an orange cloth, but I would rather follow either the agnostic standpoint, where it's all or nothing, like it's more of like the Big Bang or the evolution or something, because like you said, Jesus and religion could be something that somebody made up the same way they made up Santa Claus, spoiler alert, but to monetize and to separate people and to put them into boxes and to say we're going to brand this way so that we have this crowd of people that we could always market something to, or somebody could say, okay, well, I want to go be a preacher because I know I could always ask people for tithes, and the next thing you know, I pull up in a Mercedes or something. So I always felt like it's just always something in it, and I would see the same, again with the gay reference, I'll see a lot of Christians like, oh, you can't be gay, but then they have tattoos, and they smoke, and they drink, and they have babies out of wedlock, and it's like, is one sin really greater than the other if the Bible says not? And how can we follow a book that half the time you're reading it, you don't even understand the language? It's like reading Shakespeare. It's like you have to really break it down. So it's like, who knows if 2000 BC, it was men and men walking around and somebody didn't like it and they just wrote it down and then we just pass it. And I equate religion to the alphabet. there is really no reason why it's A through Z. It doesn't spell anything, it doesn't mean anything, but year after year, legacy after legacy, we teach our children A, B, C, D, E, and to sing all the way to Z. So I feel like we just take the Bible or we take the Quran and then we read it for what it is and then pass it to someone else and they're supposed to just have that faith. I don't know if I could just believe in something that is not tangible, but I also don't want to disrespect someone who does believe it and say, oh no, you can't prove it, so it's fake. I can't prove that if you're a good person, good things gonna happen to you, because I feel like I'm a good person and there's a lot of things that happen to me. Who do I blame for it? God, Allah, whoever the Jewish God is. Do I blame it on Buddha? Who do I blame it on? So religion has always been confusing to me, just like a blank canvas, and I don't know what to teach my kid when they ask me about it, because I don't know.
I can definitely understand, because I feel like we're all these religions. We have all these separate ones. We have, like you said, Muslim. We have Christianity. We have Buddhism. And the world is bigger than New Jersey. It's bigger than United States. Like the world is so big. It's so many different, like in Africa, like all these different places. Like where do all those people, like, you know, like is there a God wrong?
Muslims,
like yeah,
like India, the way they do things is different.
I think it's an ego thing. I mean, people wanted their own religion, so they made it that. Like I just feel like, and for me, if God is real, it would be no shaming nobody, no sin nowhere. It wouldn't have been no Adam, wouldn't have been no Eve. Because my thing has always been, if he knew that after the apple was eaten, all this stuff would happen, why did you put the damn tree there? Why did you put the apple there?
And then
was it a game? Like, gotcha.
Everybody else get there, and then you created everybody.
Right.
That's the confusing part, like, because growing
so
up, I always thought God and Jesus were the same person. So I'm just like, okay, if God created everybody, but then people witnessed him walk on water, then who created those people that watched him? And then people had to say, like, no, you're talking about Jesus. And I'm like, oh, so who did the apple thing? Who, like, I was just very confused. It's like, I don't know.
Was the apple set up? Why was the apple there?
I want to say,
it wasn't an apple,
you know,
it was a fruit.
Yes, and the thing about it is, we're looking at, okay, why wouldn't God do this? But he gives us free will. He gives us an opportunity to make mistakes, to be successful, to do what we do on our own. He's not a controlling God. God is love. And I think another thing that a lot of people forget, you know, and I don't judge anyone. If you don't believe in God, that's your choice. Whatever you believe in, if you believe in Allah, whoever is still God, right? I think God gives us something to believe in. And we forget sometimes to separate God from church and God from people. Because people are not perfect. People make mistakes constantly. And people, you know, they put all these markers like, oh, gay is sin, but so is lying. So is having sex before marriage. You know, all sin is the same. All sin is equal. So it's about how you take the Bible, how you read it. You know, I literally read it as what someone told me is basic instructions before leaving Earth, and I read it like that. So when I see all sin is the same, okay, all sin is the same. However, the sin is the sin. I'm gonna still love that person, regardless if they're gay, regardless if they had a child out of wedlock. Because did God leave like Mary Magdalene? No, he didn't leave all these people in the Bible behind. He held on to them, and it gives us religion gives us something to believe in. So whether religion, you know, I could pass away and it just all be BS, but I needed that to believe in. Through those hard times, I get on my knees and I pray, like, God, please, you know, I need you. You know, whatever happens, I know it's meant to happen that way, and I have to understand it, but help me understand it, God. Everything isn't meant to be perfect. Help me understand why it went this way. Help me understand why I failed. Help me understand why this happened to me. Because, you know, a lot of things happen to me in my life, but I'm able to educate people now. So I'm like, you know, God, you put me through that, so I'll be able to share my story with younger girls, younger kids. You know, and I love you for that, and I thank you for that.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback. You don't love the person, but you love the person, but you hate the sin. Right?
Yes.
That's the saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I feel like, just thinking about when I was in therapy, and I asked that question. I was, oh, this is representing the Bible, but then it's still, you hate the sin, but I'm gay. That's a part of who I am. So it's still, I'm still wrong. What I love is still wrong. Like who I am is still wrong because the essence of me, the spirit of me, whatever, is gay. So the sin, you love the person, you hate the sin, but it's still just for, you know, people out there. You still hate me.
Well, do you wait? I have a question. Okay. I'm sorry. Have you ever dated someone that lied to you?
Yes.
And did you go back to them because you love them?
Yes.
That's the same thing. Lying is a sin. You know, killing people, that's a sin. Having sex before marriage, that's a sin. I still love you. That's not, I'm not saying that gay, that's a part of you, but I still love you. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't make you any less than me. You know, I may pray, I may do whatever, that's you. That's you, and then this is me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I hate you. I'm saying I hate the sin, I hate what it is.
And the Bible says that one time Jesus said, "Yet let he that cast the first stone, like he that is without sin cast the first stone." So nobody really is in a position to judge anybody, right? So there's God's law, there's humans' laws, there's laws of the science, right? But there's it's just up to you to decide which laws you follow. You know what I'm saying? So what might be okay for you might not be okay for me.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel the same way. To piggyback off what Alexa said, I think religion, you do have to kind of separate like church and religion. Like there's spirituality and then there's religion. Because religion is like the construct, the repetitive, you have to do this every week and you have to follow these rules all the time. And it is very difficult to kind of see because, as you said, it's books from many years ago. It's people's own interpretations, and you really need to take the Bible as like a guide. Because what I take from it is more like stories of, being a good person, it's better to do that in society to kind of give them that mindset of, all right, you don't want to just be out here just killing people just because you can. And I feel like that's kind of like the opposing factor of, if there's no God, what's to stop anyone from just saying, I want to kill everybody?
Right.
Besides, laws and stuff like that in prison. But yeah, so I don't find anything wrong, but I do understand like the hypocrisy that you bring up in church. And because I've seen it myself, and right now I'm more of like a spiritual person than like a Christian. So like I've seen people, and the whole thing about Christianity, I grew up Seventh-day Adventist. You're supposed to bring people to the gospel, and even though you're supposed to still love the person, but you're just trying to spread God's message in hopes to either convert them, but you're not supposed to force it on anybody because you're not sinless yourself, So that's my whole thing.
What was I gonna say? What you said about if there was no God, then people would be out here killing. Sometimes I really do think about that since religion is confusing for me. So I'll feel like you said, if there was no God, people would just be out here killing. But I feel like there's a lot of people in jail who can say, I'm a Christian or I'm a Muslim, and they have murdered. So I feel like sometimes I do wonder, what would the world be like if we just had laws, the right and the wrong, and not by something that you cannot prove that, this God said this was wrong. Like, who said that to God? And then who told him? And it's like a game of telephone. Like, you are Jesus or God, and then you tell her, by the time it gets to him, it's like somebody done took something out or rearranged it and added their own little twist to it. So I feel like sometimes I do feel like with religion being so confusing for a lot of people and so different for some, we are all so different, we have so many different religions, I do wonder what would the world be like.
Yeah, because I just feel like I feel like it divides people. And it's kind of just like you don't know what's right and what's wrong. And to kind of like bring it back to children, it's just like, I remember one example, I was in like second grade, and science class, I was like, didn't want to do my homework. So my grandfather did my homework for me. My grandfather, I grew up Christian with my grandparents, and my grandfather did my homework, and it was all about like the creation of the earth and everything like that. So with him being the man that he is, he wrote the whole, Genesis and da-da-da-da-da-da.
And your science project.
For my science homework.
In second grade.
For my science homework. So then I bring it to my teacher, and I get an F. And it's just like, and she was pulling me to the side, she was like, I understand that, in your religion it says the earth was created this way and this is how it happened, but in science it's this way. So since we're in science class, you have to kind of give me the scientific answer. So for me as a kid, it's just like confusing, because it's just like, okay, every Sunday I go to church, I'm being preached this, I go to Sunday school, I'm getting told this, and I'm thinking, okay, as a young kid, it's like, this is what it is. And then, even though I ain't do my own homework, but even still, like, even with that conversation with my teacher, it's kind of just like, well, what the fuck do I believe? Like, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, you get to that point. I know for me, after a while, I was kind of just like, and then my grandparents, they baptized me like when I was like 7 years old. And at that point, it's like when you get baptized, it's like at that point, you're supposed to like, admit that like, I accept, God as my Lord and Savior, and, all that other stuff. And it's just like, I got older, and it's just like, I go to church every Sunday, I go to Sunday school, I'm in the church choir, I'm in all this stuff, and I believe this because my grandmother said I'm supposed to believe in. I got baptized because one Sunday my grandmother was like, "Oh, you're getting baptized next week." It's just like, okay. After a while, it's kind of just like, okay, what do I believe for myself? And I feel like there's some sense of a disadvantage to children because it's just like they are being told many different things. They're out here in the world learning many different things. So it's just like what's right and what's wrong. And it's just like you have two different religions, people that practice two different religions. You're right, maybe my wrong, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? And then it's just like, so I really feel like, do I feel like there is a higher power? Yes. I look at it more of a universe type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't look at it as the person that the Bible paints out to be this man. Like I don't see it that way. For me, like it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, you know, logically there are a lot of stories in the Bible that kind of just I look at it and be like, huh? And it's just, and then like I remember I seen some documentary years ago. It was saying something about there's some religion over like in the Middle East. I forgot the name of it, but it's like some passages in whatever they read it says that it's okay to kill people if they do something wrong. If they do something wrong, but then on our end it's like thou shalt not kill. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you're not killing is wrong. So it's just like, and then even like with the whole like legal system, it's like you go to court and you put up on the stand and you gotta put your hand on the Bible and say, you know, oh, so help you God, and it's just like, okay, so if I don't believe in God, do I just say like so help me God and I get there and just lie? It's just too much.
But then I feel everything in society, you'll find that if it's not religion, then it's also in science itself, because as we advance, we always find new things to say. Oh, that last thing that we learned about, this is a whole new thing, and as we kind of go further, you know, people are trying to go further into space and we do find more life, then that's just going to contradict another thing that we already learned. So I feel like in general, and then there's even fields in science that combat each other saying, oh no, what you studied is wrong, what I'm doing here is right. So I feel in general, as people, you know, we're kind of like, we're made to be siloed or more in communities, because there's always going to be this group that relates to someone or relate to each other, and then there's this group, and just from that, knowing that you guys don't relate, there's going to be conflict. So it is very difficult to wrap your brain around, regardless like religion or science.
I feel like it doesn't have to be conflict. I feel like people just need to learn how to respect each other. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, like, if I live my life my way, that's my life. You know what I mean? Even within religion, people beef, right? Yeah. So you can go to church and beef with another Christian because they feel like you should be doing this or being in church more. I'm religious. I'm a Christian, but I'm not religious. I wouldn't say that. Like I don't be going to church all the time. You know, some people feel like I should be in church every Sunday. Some people should be like, I'm on the choir, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I should be a deacon, I should be doing this. Especially since my whole family was like that, and I love them. And you know, but even looking at my family, some stuff ain't work out, and y'all always in the church. Yeah. Some of y'all got divorces, some of y'all did this, some of y'all did that. You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, I just think people need to respect people, respect other people's choices. Like, I'm gonna live my life. I'm the only one that can live it. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna live my life my way, and I'm very big on the universe too. Like, I feel like whatever I put out, you're gonna get. I'm gonna get back. Like, if I put out positive energy to people, no matter what they believe, it should come back the same way. But a lot of people can't do that. They just like, you should believe this. You should, on both sides. On both sides. Even if we want to talk about the gay and straight issue, like, that's a big thing. People on one side are saying, no, you should believe this, and people on this side are saying you should believe this. When we can both just sit there and be friends and just be like, you believe you, and we can still hang out and be cool. Like,
because of your beliefs. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I feel like it's very easy to say, oh, let's just respect each other. But if your Bible is telling you this, and this is your religion, and then the Quran is telling you this, it's kind of hard to be like, oh, I respect that, because whatever is going, like, for instance, with the Muslim and Christian, I don't want to say every Muslim, but it's a lot of Muslims who have multiple wives, but I don't know if it's like that in the Bible. So if I'm a Christian and it says one man and one woman, and then you over there with one man and 50 women, how can I respect that aspect if my religion and my God is telling me that this is right? And I understand that you're living your life, and that's your religion, but it's very hard for people to try to, like, respect that. And the same thing with the gay and straight, it's the belief of, like, you know, yes, you're gay and I get that, but it's hard for me to respect it because I don't get it and I'm not a part of it and I don't learn that, I don't teach that. So it's like...
And the Bible doesn't sugarcoat it.
Sorry. Yeah, it's the only sin that says the abomination.
And the thing that kind of just kills me is the simple fact of the matter is, it's just like, you're being told that your life is already written out before you're even born. From birth to death, it's already planned out. Like, your very existence is already painted out before you're even in the world. So for me, it was kind of just like, if there are all these sins and all these different things and things that I should not do, it's just like, okay, well, why was I born this, or why was I born that, and why did I, get into this situation, like, you know what I'm saying? And then it's just like, but then you have, certain people, they'll kind of like, oh, evil got to you and all this other stuff. It's like, okay, so was it planned for me, for my life before I was born, that evil was going to get to me? And it's just...
The one thing that I want to say is that, again, is that's people too. We're looking at people saying these things, right? The one thing I learned about religion, and the reason why I stick to it so hard, is that God is love. And that's the one thing I always think about. God is love. He's gonna love. He loves everybody. We're saying that, right? People here are saying that.
In the Bible it says that gay is an abomination. We are all God's children, and He made us all. Why would God make us gay if He felt like out of all the sins, this is the worst one? So who made us? If God made all the good people and the people that don't sin, then who made the gays?
So, I can't answer your question. There's only one person that can't answer your question. But for me, especially during my childhood, when I would go to church and read the Bible, I looked at God, like I said before, as love. And God is also forgiveness. God is also, that ability to trust, to learn, to have courage. God is that person that will be there for you when no one is there. So that's that's why I look at God, and that's why I stick to God so much. You have to understand also, people wrote the Bible. So at the end of the day, we don't know what's true or what's not true. So when you get to those gates of heaven or wherever, God is the answer, the way and the only way. He is the truth. When He doesn't judge. Who am I to ever judge anybody here, right? God is the one that created us. He's the one that's going to judge us, and God loves us. So, do I believe that gay is an abomination? No. But, other people feel like that. That's their personal beliefs, but they're not God at the end of the day. And I think that's, like I said before, that's where, we get so enticed about it. Like, well, you're a Christian and you believe. No, I don't. I don't believe. So I have best friends that are gay. Like, I don't believe that. I love them with my heart. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like, He's forgiveness. He's that place that I go when I have nowhere else to go.
So would you be like a half a Christian if you don't believe?
No, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. Full out. I believe in God. I believe in the Trinity. I'm a Christian.
But you just don't believe everything in the Bible.
I just take it for how I read it. Like, for example, I'm a big person on perception. So I believe I can read the Bible one way than someone else. I don't perceive everything in the Bible the way someone else perceives it. That's why you have to read and learn on your own, educate yourself. And that's with anything in the world. We could sit here and read an article, we all gonna read it different ways. Different ways.
The words say being gay is an abomination. How can you...
What is abomination?
Yeah,
you gotta
realize what is an abomination?
There's also transitions.
Abomination is a negative word, right?
But that's perception. But that's perception, because to you,
don't forget about the level. Y'all forgetting about the level.
Alright guys, Sop, what do you think?
Every parent, when I ask people, why are you Christian? Why are you Jehovah's Witness? The answer I always get is because of my family, because of my mother, because I just grew up in the church. So you mean to tell me that you're a full-on adult and you don't have your own brain, you don't have your own train of thoughts and school of thought? I don't rock with it. And it's just like, if like a Christian, for instance, they'll say, why do you listen to that kind of music? Why do you wear? It doesn't even have to be about gay or straight. I feel like we're kind of focusing in on that. It could just be like about a weird child. If you don't fit into that cookie cutter mold of what they want you to be, you a heathen. That's bullshit. And that's for every other religion too. And I feel like, at the end of the day, I respect everybody's opinion, but this conversation not really going nowhere because you're going to always believe what you want to believe regardless of what people say. You're always going to have, religion is a security blanket. You're always going to use it for that purpose alone. At the end of the day, you have to have faith to believe in something. And faith, you can't debate it. It's not fact.
How do we explain that to our brothers and sisters, to our mentors, to us being the next mentors, the next parents? Like, how do we go about explaining that to our child or being our children?
I think just exposing to different things. Like even when you say of Buddhism, you weren't raised to even know about it. You had to search and find that on your own. I think that we should embrace spirituality more so than religion, because religion is like cult. It's a cult. It's rituals. it's like repetitive order. You have to be a certain person. You have to do certain things. I feel like as a child, you know, to embrace that creativity and that you know, individualistic kind of style, you know, of living. Like, you know, have your child expose them to Christianity, but expose them to Muslim faith too. Yeah. Expose them to Muslim faith, but expose them to Buddhism too. Expose them to Hinduism. Expose them to a lot of different things, so that way, when they get of a certain age, they can choose what they want to do. Mm-hmm. Like, at the end of the day, like, just because you're Christian doesn't mean that I have to be Christian. Just because you're Muslim doesn't mean that I have to follow that religion too. And that's why I feel like this is just not going nowhere. Like,
but do you think that because as children, you're, like I even said it before, like as children, you're thrown into it. You don't got a choice, right? You're going to church with auntie so-and-so and mom and dad.
And that's a problem.
That's a problem, but as you grow older, not even like as an adult, as you grow older, do you think it's possible for you to actually believe in it, even though you were thrown into it?
I mean, yeah, that's possible. A lot of things are possible because if you like something, you'll gravitate more towards it, and then you'll get yourself engulfed in that religion or in that kind of spiritual practice. So, but as a child, I don't feel like a child should just be in church every Sunday, because y'all all know y'all be asleep, messing with the people next to you. You sit in a certain section, you doing communion, you eating and you playing with the little stuff. You don't really care about that anyway. So I think it's just about exposing your child to different things. Like, it don't have to be you making somebody go. Because I know, for one, when I was a child, I did not want to go to church. I did not want to go. I was forced. You know, I was baptized. What am I doing in this water right now? You know, why is my head wet? I was upset.
So what is that control about? A parent or guardian that feels like they have to have their child in church, and the child, it was a young adult,
because
whatever.
They was taught.
At what point does the parent release control and learn to share it?
I don't necessarily think it's about control. Like, you shouldn't control your child and what they do. But you know, you're supposed to be. Wait, I'm not done. But I just feel like, no, seriously, I'm not done. But I just feel like, you know, as a parent, you need to be able to have that balance with your child and just, you know, but what do you want to do? Because as a parent, just like we were talking about, you know, making sure that every child feels special, every child feels loved, every child feels accepted. They need to be the same way for the parent. You know, the parent needs to feel accepted. The parent needs to feel, you know, loved and appreciated too. And I feel like that's, you know, talking about religion, talking about spirituality, just talking in general, communicating with your child makes it a better environment in general. You know, it makes it a better environment, a better household. You just spread love, spread awareness. And I feel like, you know, with the control aspect of it, it's because parents don't know. Like I said, it's an indoctrination. Like, you know, as slaves, we were indoctrinated to believe in Christianity. So that's the element of control you're talking about. It's not about control. If you keep saying God is love, then why is it not about love? Why is everybody about, you know, heathens and this, you know, like you're not doing things the right way. Like you're not doing things, but it shouldn't be about that though.
That's
you know,
so we shouldn't have free will.
We should all accept that, you know, we're gonna make mistakes.
But that's free
you know,
will.
like we're gonna.
But free will can be structured.
Yes.
Like,
I feel like
free will,
have
but follow it
that
and
just take
order.
religion to a whole
That's
nother
morality.
level.
That's morality.
Like,
I
they
agree.
just take
Let's
it way
just-
overboard than like what it should be. Like I grew up Catholic, and you know I actually like going to church. I became a liturgical dancer and stuff like that. It wasn't until like how you said, like things were just growing up. I just saw that people wasn't, you know, they were preaching certain things, but they were doing another. And me not going to church, you know, my parents, they didn't, you know, force that on me, because I felt like in my household, we all felt like my church that I was going to was just not right anymore. So I feel like for religion, for people, I feel like just apply it to your everyday life and however that helps you. You know, that, you know, people take religion to like a whole nother extreme, like telling gay people, you know, oh, you're going to hell, or because I'm listening to whatever kind of music, I'm not, like, you know, they just take it to a whole nother level where, like how you said, you just have to just know what you say. You have to respect other people's opinions and what their beliefs is. And I feel sorry that, you know, that you say, you know, you feel confused, because it can get confused, like Jesus is God and God is Jesus. Like I felt the same way too, but I felt like what for me is I just apply the word to my everyday life and how that helps me and you know, move forward with that. But you know, the control, I feel like that goes all the way back to slavery and just how we are today. Like we still in slavery today, don't like just a modern way. So it's just something that we just have to break out as African Americans in a whole, like, and to be open too with your kids. Like, listen, if I had children, like I would tell them, like, I believe in God and stuff like that. But if you don't, like, it's okay. Like letting them know that it's okay to pick a different route and stuff. But
I think it's important that we're having these conversations and that you all have those conversations. Like if we're 20-somethings, we're millennials, and we have confusion with it. Just imagine someone 7 trying to understand all this.
Yeah.
So there we have it. We've seen all 4 installments of this chapter of As We Navigate Our World. Any final thoughts, any final words you would like to say?
I just thought episode 4 was pretty amazing. It was so many emotions and so many opinions. And I just respect the level of vulnerability. Going from Ayana, who was confused, and I can understand that. And going from Alexa, who felt strongly about different things. But I like what Ty said about being able to respect each other. I think that just brought it home.